Welcome to PoddyCast, Episode 1. Today, we're discussing Marvel vs. DC. Let's get the potty started. Anyway, I'm Mike from Centerfest and Piss Poor Productions. Do an introduction of the panel here.
Jeremy with Psychosomatic Films.
Jeremy with Psychosomatic Films.
Josh Hartwell from E-Box.
I'm just kidding. I'm Jeremy from Dark Art.
I think you fooled everybody.
I did, didn't I?
Let's talk Marvel and DC, fellas. Where do you lay?
I am a DC guy.
DC.
I'm pretty non-discriminatory. I like both.
I thought this was the AA meeting, so I don't know where I'm actually supposed to be doing it or where I'm at. So,
All right.
Happy to be here, though.
Give him a chip.
I lean towards Marvel. But I do like DC. There's no winner or loser here. We're just going to debate.
There's
Friendly
all
debate.
losers here.
So what attracted you to DC there, Jeremy, over Marvel?
I am a fan of the relation to the Greek myths. I think Justice League is very similar to Mount Olympus, and it has Batman, which is obviously awesome.
Best stable of villains,
Batman.
I will say, with Batman. In
Very
all
psychological.
comics.
I like the psychological aspect of the villains, too.
Yeah, a guy that fucking has no superpowers. He's just fucking rich and fucking beats the shit out of people. That's a cool concept. I mean...
So, as far as DC and Marvel go, now, have you always been DC? Like, when you were young, did you start off with DC and just stay with it, or...?
Yeah, I liked everything. As far as Marvel goes, Punisher's my guy, and I always thought Punisher was Batman if he lost his shit, basically.
Lobo.
Yeah, fan of Lobo and everything. But I've always seen Marvel as kind of a sci-fi comic series, and DC is more of a fantasy. And I would always have thought that I would have been more sci-fi, but there's something about the mythic nature of DC that I like.
Well, for me, Marvel's always got me, ever since I was young. Their heroes, to me, have always just somehow related better to me. Villain-wise, I will say DC's better. But hero-wise, I think Marvel's better, in my opinion. Because, I mean, outside of Batman, Superman, Lobo, Plastic Man, I mean, yeah, threw in some fucking Plastic Man. No,
Make his own
outside of
credit
those
card.
heroes, though, there's really, when you go down to the B list, there's not much there. But
Yeah.
in Marvel, you go to the B list, you got like Moon Knight, you got, Doctor Strange is now A list, but he was B list.
Mm-hmm.
You got, I mean, just tons of people. The Wraith, I mean, you got Deadpool. Well, now he's A list too.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing with the movies I've
Like
been.
Vision, all these ones they're working in now, they were all B list. Even Iron Man was B list at one before the movies came out.
Mm-hmm.
And you go all the way down to like D list, all the way down to like people like Slapstick or Dupe. I mean, they're interesting characters.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the way Marvel's been filming too. That to make something like Deadpool A-list and Doctor Strange and stuff, they've been doing a really good job of doing that, and hopefully DC can maybe get their stuff together and start getting some of the
Hey, I know
D&Ds out
DC
of
don't
there.
have many freaking movies out yet, but they're gonna fucking outthrow fucking Marvel.
You think so?
Because they're just getting their bearings, and right now I think that DC is, you know what I mean? That's where it's at. Marvel has they did it perfect for a lot of years, in a lot of freaking different ways. But I think DC is getting their bearings, and I think that the new writers coming in and the people that actually fucking read comics is having an input in it. So therefore, like the first Punisher, or the second Punisher, my bad, Warzone, one of the best fucking movies to date with Punisher. And now the new one's coming out. We'll see what happens, because like Bordeaux said that freaking I remember watching him in the movie theater with him, and he was like, dude, that was so Navy SEAL type shit, dude, because it was, and that's exactly what Punisher is.
Yeah, I wanted
So-
to stand up and applaud at that opening scene at Warzone. I was like,
yeah.
that was the best Punisher scene still, I think.
click in your ear like that, and freaking hearing a guy down the road or down the fucking hallway.
It's very Navy SEAL to hang upside down from a chandelier. Shoot her. That's about as army as you can get.
Yeah, right.
Well, let's get back to
Or
the movies.
Batman.
We'll come back to the movies though, but I kind of want to stick to the comic books for right now.
I'm just saying though.
So, what characters do you like, Josh? I mean, what?
I like Lobo, and Lobo, my top three.
So all Lobo.
Oh, I'm just joking, but yeah, Lobo is my favorite because he's just a total badass. He don't give a fuck, and I think it's one of the first times I've ever read a comic book that used a clever word for fuck rather than fuck. You know what I mean? So I loved it. It was speaking my language.
He can't come up with one now.
It was freck. It was
A
freck.
clever
He kept
word
saying
for fuck.
freck. He said freck. He said freck. You know what I mean? And that was awesome to me.
That's genius.
What about
Yeah,
you?
right?
What about you, Jeremy? What characters do you like normally read or like?
Lobo, Punisher. I started getting into Shirtless Bear Fighter. Finding that.
Dude, it's right there behind
It's
you.
funny as shit, man.
Shitless bear fighter.
Look, right behind you.
You gotta warn a
Shirtless
man
Bear
before
Fighter.
you say that.
We're gonna product placement this right here.
Tell us a little bit about Shirtless Bear Fighter, Jeremy.
It's Shirtless Bear Fighter.
Yeah, it's a guy
It's
that
not a gay comic at all. There's no bears involved.
What the
there
hell
actually
Shirtless-
are bears. He punches bears on the face, man. That's
Animal
badass.
bears. Like animal bears, not like gay bears.
I'll be
Hold
so-
on. Scully has something to say about it.
So Shirtless Bear Fighter. That's a new
Shirtless
comic out now.
Yeah. I've been getting into the DC Rebirth. I like the All-Star Batman,
Ah.
the Justice League America, that kind of stuff, I guess. Yeah.
GLA.
Well, I've always had my pull list as Spider-Man, Deadpool. I used to collect. I almost have the full run of Master of Kung Fu. Not a lot of people, know about that guy, but I'm a Bruce Lee fan, and he always kind of translated with Bruce Lee. He's kind of based off of Bruce Lee, so Master of Kung Fu is always one of my big ones. I almost had the full run, I must say. Pretty proud of that.
You should be. You should be.
As far as DC goes, I like Batman. I do have some Superman. Believe it or not, I actually do like Plastic Man. I think it's just a fun read.
I was going to go on a tangent, but I hear they're bringing, I don't think it's Plastic Man, but it's the other stretchy guy into the Flash this season. So I'm interested to see how that works.
I do like Justice League. There was a
Justice
comic
League
called
is killing it right now.
there was a comic called All-Star Squadron I used to read. It was really good DC wise. Lobo, like Lobo.
Lobo. I can't wait till they make a movie about Lobo. But yeah, there we go. Just like me with Dragon Ball Z and freaking Akira. You know what I mean? They're never going to do that because Ghost in the Shell gave us. Kind of off subject a little bit, but Ghost in the Shell kind of pushed it to a Dragon Ball Z or a Lobo kind of style
Matrix.
movie. Yeah, exactly. So and Matrix was before that. So I think we're in years.
It's not an anime show yet, but all right.
I've seen articles that there may be a Lobo movie coming.
Yeah. They after Deadpool, I think that's.
After Games of
that's
Thrones,
secured
what are you
that.
talking about? Fucking Lobos has to be there. You got fucking dragons. Come on, dude. You got wolves.
All right, so what's one of your favorite story arcs in DC?
Yeah, I'd
All
have
right, well,
to-
I'll tell some of mine. what you guys
you
think
caught
on
me
that
off
one.
guard. There's a bunch of them.
Some of my favorite story arcs in Marvel. Civil War, badass story. Movie, obviously wasn't based off the same thing, just loosely based off of it. But the Civil War by Mark Millar, badass, loved it. I liked Secret Wars 1 and 2, Beyonder. Fucking dude's entertaining. Old Man Logan, loved it. I wish the movie was more Old Man Logan-ish, but obviously they didn't have rights to a lot of the characters. But those are probably my top three favorite storylines in Marvel. So now you got any yet?
Yeah, I just did. This will go back to the movie thing, but there's a Justice League War series, and I really think that the Justice League movie that they're getting ready to do is very much based off that. And then bringing Jeff Johns into it, who wrote that one, is going to be pretty cool. And hopefully we'll at least get a shot at Darkseid in this one, but we'll see. But I don't know, if you want to hit some messages and then come back to some stuff, maybe I can pull something out of my rear end in that time.
All right.
We all know what's going on here. It's just implied, but we all know what's going on in this thought bubble. The kids don't know, but we do.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I'm happy with the terms.
Well, what have we here?
Tear you up, let's say.
Jive turkey motherfuckers.
That's
I mean, you actually thought you was going to get away with that bread and butter?
Are these your friends?
They are not mine. Are they yours?
Red-blooded cows. Is that right, blood?
Oh, peanut butter and jelly, motherfucker. Peanut butter and fucking jelly.
So where is my money? I have warhead in back of car.
Did you not hear what the fuck I'm saying? Mustard sauce and ketchup, bitches.
Shit. You should take these two out.
I do not know who these people are. Did you bring them?
No, I think you brought them. I can't go through with this.
Look, fuck all that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Is someone going to buy Warhead or not?
Fuck the warhead. You want the mayonnaise and the cheese. You sons of, you know, fuck this
I
shit.
am not here to make sandwiches.
Fuck
I
this
am
shit.
here to make money.
I brought a warhead myself.
I don't know what is going on. Look, either you buy Warhead or I will blow up the pirate. Do we have deals?
I'm not sure what.
Do we have deal?
All right, this will end this whole conversation. Yes, we have a deal.
All right, welcome back. We were talking story arcs. That's where we were. Jeremy has given his answer. We're going to go to the next Jeremy. Jeremy, any story arcs?
I did like The Killing Joke. I liked the Batman Nightfall and Infinity Gauntlet
Yes.
when it was out. Those are my favorites, probably.
God, I can't wait. Josh, you got any? Lobo.
What was Lobo on?
Until a Lobo movie happens, I don't like any movies.
No, I'm talking story arcs in the comics.
All right, my bad. Sorry, wrong conversation.
The Lobo
He's hard on-
Paramilitary Christmas special was pretty good.
No, yeah, it was back in the day, but what we got now? Anyways, the point is,
Oh, you got Lobo crossing over with Roadrunner.
Right there.
there we go.
Lobo's in JLA.
Kicking it with the coyote.
Justice League, America.
Coyote's trying
here.
to dynamite.
Dude, like I said when I came here, dude, I thought I was gonna get a chip. I just want to share some emotions in the AA meeting.
A Pringle.
Because I have a problem with drinking.
All right, well, let's stick to the comics just for a little bit. We'll get into the movies here in a bit, but writers, do you have any favorite writers?
Well, I'd say Frank Miller's probably one that comes up
Yes.
pretty quick because he's done both DC and Marvel and did such a because he did a Daredevil series and stuff there too, right?
Yep.
And I think well, again
Punisher.
we're getting back to the video part, but the next did Frank Miller do the one where Daredevil comes back to life and finds his
Second
mother?
line.
I don't know if he wrote that one,
He
but
has
I
two
heard that the
moms?
next Daredevil series is going to be based off of, and I thought Frank Miller wrote
I
that.
think
but-
Frank Miller did write that arc. I think he wrote the arc where Elektra died, too. I think. Don't hold me to that.
Yeah. Well,
Comment if you know.
It'll rolling in the credits. Here's some corrections we have from
Down below us, you're below us. The comment there.
Well, I'm going to hand it to writer
Secret tunnel.
I got to hand it to writer Stan Lee because he took Marvel, from the beginning. Historic writer. Maybe not the deepest writer, but he definitely made his mark. But one of my favorite writers is Mark Millar.
Yeah.
He wrote two of my three favorite story arcs, Civil War and Old Man Logan. He wrote both those. Can't wait for Millar World to be on Netflix.
Well, and a creator, I think Stan did most of the writing, but Jack Kirby was a creator of a lot of characters, right? I don't know if he wrote so much as came up with the characters, and I think Stan, but he, did a lot of DC stuff and everything too. So,
And they both
Stan
came
Lee.
up with characters.
but God, I hate saying this on this stuff. Was he the artist or a writer? What did Kirby
Armita?
actually do? Jack Kirby.
Oh, Kirby, he was mostly art.
Okay, so he kind of,
And Stan Lee wrote.
drew him okay, so that's where he came up with the.
did
He
weird
did
shit.
Dark Side and New Gods, but which is so similar to a lot of stuff he did with Mark.
Yeah.
He's a very space, cosmic.
If I'm not mistaken, Kirby actually died broke.
Really?
He didn't have the rights to everything. Or is he the one that got the rights right at the very end? No, I think it might have been after and his family got the money.
Yeah, this is a podcast full of questions and no answers.
Comment below, exactly. Comment below.
Be a fact checker.
Yeah. Again, see the bottom. Maybe we'll have something here. Arrow's pointing at us. He doesn't know he's talking about. This is what really happened.
That's me.
He should be an AA.
I thought I was gonna get a chip tonight, so I don't know.
So
I'm just
here- here's my current problem with Marvel and DC, but I think Marvel's been worse at it. I would say is these goddamn big old stories that cross over every issue. They end up stopping like the latest Secret Wars was just absolutely
And the newest Captain America. That's.
the Hydra.
Yep.
Secret Empire. But yeah, they do it every 3 months, and then you get totally wrapped up in a series, let's say Deadpool or Spider-Man. Sometimes they'll end that goddamn series,
And where you're left, you can't really
And then
go
they-
anywhere. Yeah.
Right, and then it's all Secret Wars or whatever, and then they come back after Secret Wars is over, and then they go into another big story arc.
That's why I think DC's been doing it, and I think Marvel's done it a couple times with the New 52 Rebirth,
Right.
and then this Doomsday Clock thing. I think is getting ready to restart. But I think they've learned, because they want to keep a cohesion in their universe, but at the same time, you can't have Batman do 2,000 things, and they're all related to each other, and then you start getting into the circular orbit and everything.
You
so.
talk about Batman. I'm gonna actually read a little fun fact.
We got researcher.
Finger
now.
received Bill Finger, the actual creator of Batman. Bob Kane took credit for it, but Finger received credit to the last Batman in 2015. Batman and Robin Essential, the Batman Arkham of Genius, are updated, acknowledged for a character appeared in Batman, created by Bill Finger. So that is one thing that most Batman motherfuckers don't know, but Bob Kane was a thief, just like every good thing.
Well, he took from
He
Arthur
marketed-
Conan
he
Doyle.
marketed good. It's just like
It's a cool documentary on
it
Hulu,
is
too.
really good.
It's
It's
really
really
good to
good
watch.
documentary. And the funny thing is, it's like the guy that made McDonald's. That made it big. The
Ray
McDonald
Kroc.
brother,
Michael
Ray
Keaton?
Kroc. Ray Kroc stole the idea from the McDonald's brothers and made it fucking popular. So this is exactly the same thing. Is like Bill Finger is getting no credit. For
He's
this.
getting fingered.
Yeah.
He's getting fucking fingered by Bob Kane. He's getting fingered by Bob Kane. He got fisted by Bob Kane. You know what I mean? Kane.
By the shirtless bear hunter.
But yeah, I thought it was a fun fact there. You mentioned Batman.
It
I
was.
thought it would be a good for our audience to know. That.
Yeah, and
Bill
what you were
Finger
saying
created
with
Batman.
Taken, I mean, that's a
Drop 'em off.
other than the villain and the psychological aspect with Batman that we could do 30 minutes on just that little sides bit. But the big thing I really like about Batman himself is it's from Sherlock Holmes, I think, and ninjas and Dracula. And when you're a kid, you know, I mean, Sherlock Holmes, some kids maybe not. I was a huge Sherlock Holmes
have a
fan, but
question.
ninjas and Dracula, you know, those are.
Look, to your viewers, these guys are fucking amazing about comics and shit. I'm not. So I'm gonna ask a question because I heard this rumor a long fucking time ago. Did really Joker in the comics rape Robin?
I haven't read that, but
it's alluded to. It's alluded to.
I haven't read it, so I don't know. 'Cause
Are you talking
I
in
don't
the
live-
Killing Joke?
All I know is that somebody told me that
Because Batman and Robin was consensual. I don't know what the Joker part was.
I thought the whole thing that somebody told me that.
But I think he's
Joker
right. I think there was a panel
raped-
that
insinuated.
was
Was not talked about. Insinuated, and that was Robin and Joker alone, and it was really weird. And I just want to confirm with you guys because I know shit about this, but this is what I'm told. And
I wouldn't be able to recall that right off the bat. But I don't know if you're referring to the Killing Joke, but there's a lot going on.
Well, if you know,
There's a lot going on there. Whether it was a crowbar or not, we don't know.
see below. Again,
Yeah.
please comment if you know the answer.
Freddie got fingered.
he was fucking around corners.
Sounds more like Robin got fingered.
He got crowbar.
So
Go Batman.
But back to that, I think that's why sales in comic books are actually down really far. Is because nobody, like Spider-Man went to number 700, dude, 700. And Batman was up to what? Is it still going?
Well, are you talking before the New 52, or because that's the rebirth, well, literally and figuratively the rebirths, and that's where I think that the what we were saying before, I think they realize that,
Right.
But I think Marvel's done that recently, haven't they? They've kind of rebooted the whole.
They do it about every 3 months. I swear to God, it's been. I mean, they don't reboot every series, but they have a big story arc. And
Well,
some of
but
the
what
story
I'm
arcs
saying is
kill
like how
off.
DC does it, the whole universe gets rebooted. Just the whole now. The cool thing with
Secret War's
Doomsday
dead.
Clock, I mean, we don't know yet, but how they tie the end of one end to the other, there is something in it, but there's still a reset button, I think, that is smart for them to do.
The latest Secret Wars did do that. It rebooted a whole universe, and now there's people from the Ultimate Universe are now in the 616 universe. There's just characters, that normally weren't there. And they ended a lot of series that were ongoing. So people, have those pull lists. This goddamn thing comes along, and next thing you know, I gotta wait until the Secret Wars is over to find out what I'm gonna pull now.
Yeah.
And a lot of comic shops bitched about that.
Oh, there's
And
a big, I did see where recently the Marvel comics of certain special issues have like the metallic, the fancy covers, but in order for comic shops to get a certain number of those, they have to buy 100 of the non.
Right. That's
Yeah.
how Diamond does now because they've kind of capitalized on the distribution market. It's Diamond is the big distributor, and they kind of force their hand on comic shops these days.
And
There's
I
no
wonder what
competition.
kind of bite digital is taken out of that too. I mean, it's the same with any.
I think with a lot of hardcore collectors, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I can get some on the pad and stuff, but it's just.
I think it's
not
been a
the
good
same.
thing overall for like younger people who like everything digital.
Yep.
But for me, old school, I love to hold I love to look at my boxes of comics. I love to go through them.
Yep.
You know, fucking masturbate. to
Imagine,
'em.
yeah, that when the kids are our age, they'll be like, I love going into folders and picking out that file. Oh, it's so great.
Speaking of masturbation,
Wait, we're going to have some commercials on it.
Pack Rat Comics.
what?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, but
No,
we should probably go to some messages on it and then.
All right. Well, how
Yeah.
about this? After the break, we'll come back and I want to ask you about masturbation.
All right, but I'm going to give a shout out to Pack Rat Comics over in Hilliard.
Great store.
Great store. Know the owners. They're married. They're awesome. They've been nerdy for years. Go see them. Go buy comics because they fucking love you, so love them.
And don't forget to look in the basement. Tons of back issues, dollar boxes. Awesome.
But not the seller.
And also check out Skylark, new comic shop in Grove City. Dude is awesome. Super nice guy.
That's where I got my shirtless bear fighter.
Listen to the podcast.
All right, we'll be right back.
He has been chosen to save the world.
Scene 1, Apple, take 2.
Kung Fu Drummer. Kung Fu Phantom of the Opera. Kung Fu Pickup Artist.
What's up, baby?
Kung Fu Cop.
Where's the drugs, scumbag?
Ones are not Thai Kung Fu dude. Kung Fu Car Detail. Kung Fu Hot Dog Guy. Kung Fu Skip to the Loo, my darling. Kung Fu Actor.
To beat or not to beat? That's the question, you bastard.
Welcome back. So let's talk Marvel versus DC, movies, TV, etc. We could talk other third-party movies as well, but let's go. All right, Marvel versus DC movies.
You know, actually, before we start, I got a question for you because I was thinking about this the other day.
All right.
What DC character do you think would fit best in a Marvel world, and what Marvel character do you think would fit best in a DC
Good
world?
question.
Ooh, that is a good question. Who would I like to see, or who do I?
No,
think
who do you
fit?
think fits? Because there's a character in Marvel. I don't want to tell you who it is, but there's a character on Marvel that I was thinking the other day that I think is very DC-like.
Well, believe it or not, I would say Vision would be good to go over to DC.
Lobo.
Because
I see him as kind of a green. When I saw him in the film part, that one scene, you know, with the music and
Yeah.
he floats, I really had a Martian Manhunter moment, and
Yeah,
I'm
it's a-
really hoping that DC
Great.
at some point brings Martian Manhunter to the big screen. But
they
we'll
already
see.
kind of have a Vision. Martian Manhunter is very Vision-esque, kind of. So we'll leave Vision out. And I would actually say Spider-Man would actually be decent as part of the Justice League. I could see him as part of the Justice League. Now, as far as DC going over to Marvel, I personally would love to see Batman over there, but how well does he fit? I think he could fit in something along the lines of Punisher in that kind of setting. But other than that, I would say I could actually see Plastic Man over in Marvel.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Well, one of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, well.
They already got one.
Yeah, but Fantastic Four movies just haven't translated to film yet.
Yeah. Well, but it was at the beginning, and I liked the first one. I think that second one.
First one is actually the best one, and it's still kind of.
But that second one, when they had the Dodge and they separated, that was just when you have product placement and something like that.
Mr. Fantastic dancing on the dance floor.
Or he's kneeling on one knee.
So it's more humorous than.
It was just awful.
cheesy.
It's funny because it was
But
awful.
Silver Surfer, I did love it. Like
I
Silver
liked how it
Surfer.
looked, but I
Right,
didn't
right.
care for the story. Like, how are you going to put him in a box in a room for the movie? I was like, you need to see him.
Yeah, and the Galactus.
Yeah, out galactically.
The Galactus. The Galactus cloud.
Yeah.
That was just like, you son of a bitch.
Yep. Yeah, I give him a little leeway on the look of it because I think Galactus would like what they did with Ego, right? Ego, the Living
In
Planet.
Guardians
Yeah,
2.
how I actually kind of like how they did that, and that I thought translated pretty well to
Yeah.
film. But the Galactus would be tough, But yeah, the fighting I love Man of Steel, but like any of those when he's fighting out the World Engine was a cool concept. But anytime you have to do this more,
Yeah.
More energy to
speed
up. Like that kind of thing.
Still,
Yeah.
Daniel Tosh quote.
There you go.
Is that like, you explain to me how Superman goes faster like this? And I'll
Aerodynamics.
explain to you how a vagina.
Well, because that works out a fart, and that gives him a little boost out the back.
It's science.
Yeah, science, Josh, science.
Physics. Sorry,
So-
I didn't.
Well, I'll use the segue at Batman because Batman would be my DC to Marvel guy because he's more. I mean, there is a fantasy element that I think works with DC very well, but the fact that he's more science, he's DC's Iron Man more or less with that. But the one Marvel, I think Thor is the most DC or Marvel because of what I was saying with the Greek mythology. I mean, it's Nordic and all that, but I think that would work. Like with Wonder Woman being the Greek Amazonian kind of history, and then having Thor with the Nordic background and everything.
And just Thor or the whole,
No, just that individual. Well, actually, the
Odin,
whole,
Loki, all
the whole Thor world, whatever that would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Odin and I love Odin's son. That's such a old school,
So what you're saying is like pretty much that freaking all Greek mythology could fit into a comic book.
Well, a DC universe, pretty much. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not the whole
DC
thing, but
not-
I really
not Marvel,
like
not
Justice League. In I think, first of all, the Watchtower to me is Mount Olympus. It's especially the way they have it now in space, over above humans and all that. And you could have an argument with Superman or Shazam being Zeus, but I would Shazam for the lightning, but Superman because god of the air, more or less. And he's basically the leader, more or less. And
you were saying like Flash is Hermes.
yeah, Flash is direct. I mean, they even put, the
Right.
wings and everything. So he was direct out of it. Some people would say Wonder Woman is Hera, but I would say more as Athena because of the
Goddess
warrior.
of war.
Yeah, the
Wow.
warrior aspect.
We're going deep on this
Yeah.
motherfucker.
And the Batman
gonna keep my
Hades,
mouth shut.
that one's kind of a given.
Totally going to.
You could have either Green Arrow or Green Lantern as Apollo. I think either one of those. And then Cyborg as Hephaestus.
Wow. Bordeaux, whatever the fuck you want to call
He's
him.
got two thumbs and no life. This guy.
This guy's awesome. This guy's awesome. He knows what the fuck he's talking about. It makes you think about some shit.
It's
So, do you have any
internet.
characters that would translate over?
I was going to go for the Punisher Batman. I think that would be a good
That's who
one.
you'd swap.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Lobo.
Lobo actually would fit. Actually, Lobo would fit in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Pretty well. I can imagine.
I
the
could see
Deadpool
him-
Lobo team up, dude.
Well, I could see Lobo in the Guardians
I can see
Yeah,
him.
he
part, portion of the
Dude,
universe.
he is
and
Dog
stuff.
the Bounty Hunter, just without a fat ass wife. You know what I mean? And child support and all these other things, and not living in Hawaii, all right, or Maui, where the fuck he's living. So Lobo is way cooler than Dog the Bounty Hunter, but he's more real than most.
So by that, how
besides
cool do
Batman.
you think Dog the Bounty Hunter is? Since you said
Not
he's
cool
cool.
at all.
I was gonna
Not
say,
cool at all.
I'm not sure what kind of scale you're using
my
here.
point is-
I got a cardboard cutout in my living room.
The only reason I'm comparing is because he's a bounty hunter. He's a bounty hunter for all the fucking assholes in the universe, and the galaxies and the multiverses and all that shit. So to me, that is important because he is like Texas Ranger Walker, fucking Chuck Norris on that shit. Whatever the
Well,
fuck
and
it
he's
is.
a good anti-hero too, you know.
Whatever the fuck it is. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm dyslexic.
Words.
Words don't mean nothing.
But yeah, I think Lobo's a good anti-hero because I mean he's not really good or bad. He's just more or less out for himself.
He's a
and stuff,
libertarian all day. He's a libertarian.
Me.
What is Aleppo?
Way to go, Green Party.
All right, so now to the movies. To me, there's no comparison. Marvel is killing DC in movies right now. Killing them.
But I firmly believe in Bordeaux. and that DC is coming back. They only done 3 movies now?
No, well,
four, 5.
Since they've done the DCEU, they've had Man of Steel.
Comparative, Marvel has ran them in fucking movie making. And so they have the money, they have the backing. So let's just see. Time will tell about DC. So let's just let that be. And Marvel, yes, all hail Marvel. But then again, let's see what DC can do, and let's give them.
I think they've already more or less done it. I mean, I'm obviously biased with this and everything, but everybody complains about the darkness of DC and Zack Snyder's look and everything. But that is DC to me. I don't see DC. You know, Marvel does the comedy and the family thing, and Guardians of the Galaxy is a fun romp and all that and everything.
Yeah, my kids.
But if they made a Batman like that, I would.
Shoot myself.
Yeah, I was about ready to do some bad analogies.
You would
there,
find me in a fucking underpass.
I actually kind of now the big huge complaint that I have, and this is my one rule that I talked to you about before. When I go see Spider-Man, I don't want to see Peter Parker. I want to see Spider-Man. When I see Batman, I don't want to see Bruce Wayne. I just Clark Kent, whatever.
Yeah,
that's my big complaint with Justice League. Is the first half of that movie was all Diana Prince.
Yeah. It's contagious.
And then them is their alter egos and stuff, and that just took too long and everything. And then there's the Lex Luthor complaint, but I actually love the look of it. I like the dark part of it. I think Patty Jenkins did a good job of lightening it because it worked with it, but it was still had a dark to it. Now the one thing I would say with it is that airy scene at the end, I would have liked to see that in daylight.
Yes.
I would have liked to see that in daylight. I think dark, because Ares isn't Doomsday. Doomsday you could have shot in the daylight. Yeah, right? In the comics, the death of Superman, that was a daytime fight and everything. Right. But I do like, and this I give Zack Snyder a lot of credit for, is the story arc itself was good. To kill Superman, I just don't think a lot of people would have really... Yeah. Done that right off the bat, but I think it sets, because it's such a huge part of the DC universe, that you have to address that, and you might as well get that out of the way. And it was done in such a way that it's a good thing to lead into creating the Justice League.
One thing I think we can all agree on: more emo Peter Parker.
Can I make a point?
Or emo Venom.
Can I make a point? I'm done seeing the beginning of a comic. Let's just finish this shit out. You know what I mean? Stop showing me Batman's fucking dad and mom getting killed. Right. Stop showing me that fucking how Peter Parker fucking gets being Spider-Man.
They did in Homecoming. They didn't.
I'm just saying though. My point is, it needs to be progressive, more progressive.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody's sick of origin stories. I mean.
Yeah, and you can throw an origin story in 5 minutes of a film.
Like Punisher Wars Hour is just bland.
Exactly.
Well, and I'll tell you, that was a huge complaint with Thomas Jane's Punisher. Is the first 45 minutes was and it wasn't even the origin story.
Right.
It's like.
Don't
get me started.
So the point is, Hollywood is fucking sucking balls right now.
Well, Hollywood's always been sucking balls for a long time,
I give props and everything.
Yeah,
but I think Marvel and DC had a part in bringing cinema back. Because, dude, before...
To pay $20, $30
Avengers,
for a ticket?
I never went to the goddamn movies probably for 4 years. There was just nothing that was bringing me to movies.
Give you that, but to me, that's all they got, though. That's all they got. You do comic movies now? Like, fucking... That's all.
For me, I'm happy.
Well, let's do a break, and then we'll talk the evolution of where everything's...
All right, then...
Let's go to break. We'll talk evolution.
Good, I gotta piss.
I know what you're thinking. You want a little bike. Well, I'm Little Bob, and I'm here to sell you a little bike. You can call 1-800-LITL-BOB. Get a hold of Little Bob to sell you a little bike.
And we're back. All right, so let's talk evolution of movies. So far, I think Marvel, the way they're going, is killing DC, but I think DC is slowly making their way to catch up with Marvel. Slowly. But they have the rights to all their characters, which means they should catch up quickly.
Yeah, I think it's a benefit to DC by letting Marvel create the path. Yeah, whatever metaphor we want to use, pave the way and create the path and everything, and then to learn from that. But in a way, DC kind of paved for Marvel, because with the Christopher Reeve Superman and then Tim Burton Batmans and the Batman's after Tim Burton, which will not be mentioned here probably for the most part. But still, I mean, especially the first two that Burton did do, really, especially at the time. I mean, now
It set
you'd
the
be.
tone. It set the tone.
Yeah.
It set the tone.
Yeah.
But it
made the room for Dark Knight, and Dark Knight was one of the best fucking Batman ever.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah,
Even though I didn't like Christian Bale, but
You can like what you not like, but the point is that Heath Ledger fucking was
I agree.
a genius in that movie.
He was badass.
Even though you couldn't understand Batman.
But for me,
I'm going to defend Christian Bale for a moment. I think he was the best Batman ever.
Really?
Yes. Oh, yes, yes. And you know, he gets a lot of crap for his voice and stuff, but that's how his voice is written in the comics in a way, and you could tell Snyder was conscious of that in the Justice League because of the yellow leather, whatever Alfred said, but he made a point to.
Now you have Affleck.
Yeah, he has the electronic.
But less.
He has the electronic.
Yeah, but
changes
yeah,
his
he does
voice.
the electronic, and that's what I was saying is he made a point, that little scene with Alfred doing the test to make that point and everything. But I actually like the doing it without that a little bit more. And I'll tell you, I do want to go on a little sidetrack here, but that part in Batman Begins when he had that dude upside down, where are the drugs at? And that scene, I still get chills.
That's
and that
fine
is
on
one of
that
the
part.
most awesome Batman.
Where's Bubbles?
Yeah.
Where is Bubbles?
Yeah, but that's
They're in your
fine.
tub, bitch.
That's an intense moment where
Yeah.
you're screaming.
And dude,
needed.
when you see it, you see his head do this, just a little, like a little side to side where he's building it up, and I'm getting chills talking about it. And I thought that was awesome.
He's method acting.
Yes, and methadone acting. It was.
I just for me,
Methadone.
whether it was supposed to be written like that or as they're trying to true to the comic, it don't matter. I mean, to me, it was just annoying. I mean,
Yeah. Well, and again, there's all kinds of
To each
complaints
their
that
own,
I've
to each their
had.
own. But yeah, I have a problem with Batman and the whole Christian Bale thing. But you know what? Christian Bale was such a great actor. He overcame the voice in my.
And I'll tell you, I think he got that role because of American Psycho.
Oh, yeah.
That to me was Bruce Wayne with Batman creeping through it. Like there's some creepiness in American
Because
Psycho.
Batman is a psychopath, is a sociopath.
Yeah, and also
It comes down to
being
it.
like I don't know if he's a CEO, like the vice president, where they were all vice presidents and
Which
shit.
are
But
all
it was definitely
sociopaths.
that class of Bruce Wayne, rich kind of thing or whatever, and
Right.
you could play that apart. But also the psychotic, Batman's crazy.
I can 100% see that. 100% see that. Now, for me though, just seeing these goddamn characters that I've been reading since I was like 8, 9 years old on the big screen done right, mind blowing. I don't give a fuck DC or Marvel.
Concur.
So there was a golden age of comics, and I think right now we're in the golden age of the film translation into comics,
yeah.
and we're right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And this is the depressing part, but we are in the middle. I think it is like westerns and all this other stuff. It's in its heyday right now. I do think. I mean, it'll fizzle out. I mean, hopefully it'll be
Batman
10, 20
is
years
John fucking
in the
Wayne.
future.
I don't think it will fizzle out. I think though,
I don't think it'll fizzle out soon. I'm saying in 20 years.
I think it's a permanent genre now.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Well, but the same as westerns are, but it won't be
right. There's not
the
gonna be 3,
thing
4,
that's
5, 6
happening.
movies coming out
Yeah,
every
yeah,
year.
you know what I mean.
That's
I think it's here to stay to a degree, but not in this, deluge that's pretty much happening at the
I
moment.
do want to give some credit to the Kick-Ass movies, the Kingsman movies, and Mark Millar, by
Yes.
the way. Wrote both those.
I've never seen the Kingdom movie.
Oh my!
Sorry. Sorry, I never had. Not because I don't want to. It just never had the opportunity.
God, you gotta watch it, dude. Got to.
How can you show up to an AA meeting and not watch
Exactly.
The best,
I'm getting my chip later on, right?
one of the best fight scenes in film history
Yes.
is in that fucking movie.
And I'll tell you when the heads,
church.
that part was
They're calling
just
the second one, right? They're
Yep.
calling the second one.
which
Couple
looks really friggin' good. And
Yes.
so you read the graphic novels of that, right? Or the comics of the
Kingsman?
Kingsman?
No.
So
Kick-Ass, yes. But Kingsman.
So I'm just curious and we were talking about this earlier with like as far as Preacher, I was aware of Preacher,
Preacher's a fucking amazing.
which I love the show, but I didn't never, and I once the Preacher runs its course, then I'm going to go back and read
Right.
but I don't want to read it now because I don't want to spoil shit
and
for
some
yeah,
people
you know what
that
I
are
mean.
readers
So,
are disappointed with the show because of the,
Well, just
But-
being
if you're disappointed with Preacher,
me and Gordon
yeah,
were
you got
talking
your
about the Man in the High Castle off the comic book stereotype of PKD fucking wrote Man in the High Castle. You guys watching that show at all?
No.
Oh my God! It was when the Nazis took over and Japan took over. I'm telling you, it's awful subject, but it's the same kind of, you know.
Well, yeah, and Dream of Electric Sheep, which would be actually a fantastic podcast, which would be to go into the stuff like that. But I think do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, and then how that relates to Blade Runner. And I mean, Philip K. Dick is.
Dude, have you seen Jared Leto in Blade Runner yet? You seen the trailer?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was never big into Blade Runners.
Oh, come on, man.
It's not- I'm not a sci-fi fan
2 minutes
now.
I've ever seen in a long time.
Which takes us back to the Marvel DC thing, where I really think Marvel is the sci-fi thing, but it's ironic that you're not a sci-fi fan, but a Marvel fan, and I'm a sci-fi fan, but DC, where I don't know where you come down on fantasy or anything like that.
He already comes down.
I come. Yeah.
Well, I
But
mean-
with the
I don't know, just sci-fi. When it gets too sci-fi, I should say, it loses me.
Then how do you deal with
And-
Legion then? Because very
Legion?
sci-fi.
Oh, they're
Because
getting
it's fucking
better.
Badass.
Oh, Legion. I said lesions.
No, because but the point of this is that like Legion is, or Legion is fucking.
It left a scar on me.
Yeah, it did.
Post-apocalyptic worlds are another thing that.
Well,
really-
but I'll tell you, and another thing with
Very
Legion.
sci-fi Stanley Kubrick style, very
Yes.
schematic and fucking
Hey.
abrupt.
Especially the first half of that
Yeah, dude,
shooting was very
I
Kubrick.
thought I was on Speed the first episode, dude.
And he was.
Maybe I should clarify. Maybe there's certain types of sci-fi I just don't
To
get
me,
into,
that's-
and post-apocalyptic is one of them.
I guess our definitions are different.
Star Trek and that kind of shit, I can't do it. But
So I see sci-fi as that.
Blasphemer.
Legion is sci-fi to me.
Legion is
It's sci-fi,
badass.
totally.
I do. If that's sci-fi, then I like that.
All right.
And that's another example where I was saying I don't know. I did my internet research after I saw the show and everything, but I knew nothing about Legion.
Yeah.
Legion. I keep wanting to say Legion. Nothing about Legion before I saw that show, and it was so wonderfully shot and filmed and
Oh, it was
everything that as
beautifully
soon
done.
as and the writing
The
and everything.
colors.
Oh my god, dude, that show is so goddamn. I would get
And what
anxious,
you were
man,
saying
every
with the
time
colors
it's
and stuff, and
Legion,
what you're
like-
saying with Kubrick,
intense.
I mean, those
It's intense.
shots in the asylum, especially when all of a sudden he was by himself and that
Yeah.
orange, and I mean, it was
The whole
beautiful.
Legion thing
beautiful.
with me is why I'm not a big comic book fan for reviewers. You know,
Really?
You just shut up. So
Lobo.
the thing is- Lobo. But the thing was, to me, that caught me off guard. Is that because I've never seen anything like that since, all the good shit
Yeah.
perished, and now Hollywood's flooded with bullshit, and now we see a glimpse of a fucking good director and a good idea, and to me that that speaks monuments. I mean, just the ADD part of it,
We're tearing monuments down right now.
But this ain't General Lee. Yeah,
It's in the car.
All right,
it's
well,
not because slaves.
well, fellas, we're about out of time. We're gonna have to do this comic book discussion again because there's a lot of stuff we didn't get to. I wanted to get to, like villains, like rogue gallery villains of like Batman
Hey,
versus
next
Marvel
episode.
villains, and so
The
Marvel
geekdom
DC,
never ends.
nobody's a loser. Everyone's a winner. To be
Marvel's
honest.
rocking right now, but DC, watch out for DC. DC's coming out. DC's like a fucking gay dude that's been in a long time in the closet, and he's gonna fuck.
And for all comic book fans, it's not a competition.
No.
We all win with everything. so,
Exactly.
at the end of the day, but DC is
I'm
awesome.
still trying to decode what Josh said.
Well,
You'll be here for hours,
you push that button and use all that shit, but I'm telling you, what's coming out now is fucking.
It's got corn in it.
It's got chloroformation.
Corn.
Quick props to Image, by the way, for their non-superhero comics. Best in the business. All right, I'm
Shirtless
Mike.
Bear Fighter.
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
I'm Jewish.
Thank you for watching Podcast.
Peace, love, and unity.
Until next time, episode 2, where we discuss
Something.
hairy pee holes. Adios, Cool Ranch Doritos. All right, so.
I'm drunk.
No.
No.
God damn.
Played it off very well.
No, I didn't.
I was being kind.
I know.
Yeah, I can't tell any difference from usual.
discussed this many times before. The only way to get by in this world is with a little respect. Fear! That's how we get the respect. Just kill them, and the rest of them will fear us. They messed up. You messed. I didn't mess up. We don't mess up. They made mistakes.
That's 3. Catching up.
Nah, he's got a long way to go.
That's never gonna heal if you don't stop nipping.
Frank, told you to never call me Nick.
Fuck you. It's not what you think it is. There's no registry. It's not about controlling us.
You're helping people who would throw you to the wolves.
Enough with the chat. Let's fight.
Your boss is a joke.
Your face is a joke.
Harlan, what about the contract killer?
Yeah. These nuts is coming.
Do you know where the French vanilla is?
Get the fuck out of here.
Hashtag drive-by.
Smells like your mom.